What's up, y'all? Just a tiny little adjustment there. You know, I'm gonna keep this how it is. This is In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Raw and real. What's up, y'all? As I said, do some kind of little intro-y thing with Frank the guitar. He's out of tune. Here's the thing, brother. This is In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I said it twice. The intro's been a little bit haphazard, but I'm gonna keep it like this because this is a kind of a special episode to me, as a lot of breakthroughs are happening on my end, and as a lot of things are just, doing what they do. So today is the 8th of January 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. We address the human body. We allow the body to work, coming at the body through the skeletal system. It's not about the fat content. It's not about the muscle mass, because those things both come and go at different times in our lives. But the body is about its foundation, the skeletal system. Here at the podcast, we are centered around the gospel of Jesus Christ. Our whole company is, but our topics here are, and yeah, this intro to this episode is a little bit like not how they normally are, but I like that because it's just a lot of conviction, a lot of hard-hitting good stuff. So, yeah, I'll do a little rundown of what the company is, and then we'll get into this episode. In the Image Clothing Company, 3 sides to us: the podcast, the main company side of things with anatomy of the human body and clothing. And what clothing is doing to our bodies is the only thing that can alter our bodies to that degree, meaning that degree that it does, because it's the only thing placed on our physical bodies. And we also have In the Image Clothing Company music, where we do all things music, setups of instruments, and make music as well. That's Frank the guitar. He's my guitar that I have right now. He's amazing. Little Yamaha CGS 102A, half-sized. Custom radius by me. So, here's the thing. Clothing on everybody, man or woman, tall or short, skinny or fat, any age. Our pants need to be entirely above our hips, off of the hips, so the hips have all their natural movement and ranges of motion. And with the waistband, it needs to be slightly higher in the front than in the rear, because in order to keep our core activated, as it would always naturally be, it needs to contract. Those muscles need to shorten, and so that's the only way that that's going to be allowed to happen with clothing placed on it. Now, the tops that we wear, the seams on top of our shoulders need to sit evenly behind these little bones that is the other end of our collarbones, just to allow our shoulders to be in their neutral position, and then right at the very edges, ideally for those edge seams of the shoulders. That's just where they move. So, all right, we have 2 prerequisites in addition to just allowing clothing to fit correct here at In the Image Clothing Company to allow the body of the human being to be unaltered. The first one is the shoelacing technique that we use. You can find anywhere you find us online. Being 2025, you can do that. With that technique, included is just to tie your shoes evenly over toward the inside on both feet, toward the center of our bodies, to create an even foundation traveling up the rest of our whole being. And second prerequisite, in addition to the shoelacing technique, is to remove all tags from clothing within anywhere that a tag is placed. It's causing a gap, it's altering the body's natural position and function, and within the shoes as well, because that's either altering the dorsiflexion or plantar flexion of the ankle, or the natural arches of our feet get altered. So, all right, this is episode 33 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and this is titled Things I Have Done. And this is why. There's a lot of stuff I talk about how really what we're doing within In the Image Clothing Company is, what we're really doing is just allowing the body to work. The human body only does what it does. Everything within it only has the function that it has. And we approach the skeletal system, every bone only connects to the next bone the way that it does. They only have the operations that they do. Every single joint, everything within the body only does what it does. Clothing can alter that to such an immense degree. And we get into these chronic patternings, these universal patternings. So I mentioned that's how I can speak for people across the globe. I've never met them. I don't need to, because the patternings that our bodies get into are universal because we live within the same world. We interact with the same things. We wear the same clothing designs. And even as those designs change, they change across the globe because we ship things to people across the globe on ships, on planes. So we really are all within the same imbalances within our bodies. And also, our bodies just react the same to like wearing something that's oversized. If we have one side of our body we're using more than the other, we call it a dominant side. That oversized thing will just fall toward that side. So it doesn't matter if you're wearing a clothing design that's even anywhere near similar to somebody on the other side of the globe. It will still react the same just because our bodies are universally designed in the image of our living God, who is Jesus Christ. That's where our company name comes from. So there's been a lot that I've done in my life, though, in addition to just the same patternings that we all get into, that has furthered my imbalances more than most anybody else, unless they were to be doing the same things. And I've mentioned I've done a lot of flips. You know, you can call it parkour, but just front flips, side flips, Websters, back flips, gainers throughout my life, outside and in gyms and inside buildings as well, just anywhere that I could do them. I did that with my shoes laced and tied incorrect and oversized clothing. So much stuff that I did for so many years. I wore a stretchy belt for like 5 years probably, or more. Probably around 5 years. I wore these, I've mentioned it, but I never could say it too much. It's personal experience that can relate to people, or people can relate to. 6-inch leather waterproof boots with an inch tall heel that I was wearing for 4 or 5 years, somewhere around there, that amount of time, and 3 to 4 years maybe, like in total, if we're every single day wear, you know, laced and tied wrong. And man, I mean, I did so much stuff like that, but within wearing those boots especially, I was doing flips. I was playing so much soccer, man. Soccer, or football for a lot of other parts of the world, but what we call in the United States of America is soccer. You know, I played so much soccer, man, and in those boots too. So they were laced all the way up. So 6 inches up my ankle, they were laced to the top. Because now I'm still, I mean, I have a pair of boots, and high tops is actually what I wear every day, is one of those too at this current time. And that's great, but I stopped the lacing where my ankle flexes so that it can. But back then it was just, my ankles were so restricted, and I played so much soccer, dude. In high school, we would just play soccer in the field, on the football field, the American football field. And, you know, during lunch and after school, we just hang out and play soccer like for hours. Oh my gosh. And then after high school as well, continued to play, but just so many years playing so much soccer. And that right foot was always tied into external rotation. And the whole right side of the body, as I always say, gets destroyed in that case because we need our even internal rotation toward the center of us at our foundation, traveling up the rest of our body. That's why it's one of our 2 prerequisites, just to allow the body to work how it's designed. So my whole right side of my body was just getting so just ingrained in this crazy imbalance, man. And it's nuts. I played so much soccer, dude. And I didn't think about that. The reason I'm saying that and it's hitting me so hard right now is because Frank the guitar, I'm doing little tiny adjustments to him still. It's been 3+ weeks that I've had him. And, you know, everything just, it's about the setup and everything in our bodies, in our clothing, in what we do with our instruments, or the things that we hold, or the things that we use with our bodies. You know, so just little tiny adjustments. And I was starting to look at my right foot, man, and I've been noticing like, well, that's the whole thing is the right side of the body, if that's the side that's being tied external, that foot can't dorsiflex. That foot can't come up. So those toes are coming closer to you because it's just a literal physical knot around your ankle is inhibiting its natural motion for years. And so I was sitting there on the floor over here in the same room I'm sitting in now, making a video for In the Image Clothing Company Music with Frank the guitar. And I'm just talking about like dorsiflexing our feet evenly to know that our hands are at an even height when we're playing guitar, to know that the setup of the guitar is correct. And I'm noticing my right foot. I'm thinking about it, man. I used to juggle a soccer ball, like where you're just using your feet and keeping the ball off the ground with only your feet and just hitting it again and again. I used to get, I mean, it was common for me to be pretty easily able to get around 100 juggles without touching the ball to the ground. And I mean, just doing that over and over again, because I would do a lot of tricks, you call them like around the worlds and a lot of little tricks with my feet. I was really, really good with a soccer ball. They call it like freestyle playing. That's how I approach most things in my life is freestyle. And, just that repetitive dorsiflexion and hitting that ball, keeping it off the ground, but in a way that my ankle wasn't actually dorsiflexing because of the knot around my ankle from the shoelace. And just the position the incorrect lacing puts your feet. They can't track normally that way either. So that's why our shoelacing technique is what it is, dude. There's no opinion of ours. It's not because of us. I always say not to believe me, but just try the stuff we talk about. It'll manifest itself to you. It's just truth. In the Image Clothing Company. So I'm just sitting there on the floor with Frank the guitar, and I'm just massaging out my foot, dude, and that right big toe. I always talk about how, again, as long as it's that side that's been tied into external rotation, that right big toe on just about every human across the entirety of the globe, if they've ever tied their shoes. And then other things within clothing designs do it to a degree as well, but it's like you can't actually put pressure onto your right toe, the big toe of your right foot. So I'm sitting there and massaging out my toe, and I'm realizing all the years I played soccer, dude, and how much I did to damage my body. Because even if you're not juggling, if you're just like kicking a ball, you're still just trying to use an ankle when there's a actual rope around it, inhibiting its only working. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. So that's just a huge thing. I didn't know what I was doing. And because I mean, I remember hours a day playing soccer and going home and feeling like I couldn't rest. I couldn't calm down. I couldn't go to sleep. But I was forcing my body to do something it just doesn't do for like 3, 4, 5 hours, like after school, for example, in those times. And it's crazy, dude. So that's huge, man. And this last couple of years, about 2.5 years from this point back, I started playing guitar, and I've had 20 guitars. I've mentioned that. Frank, the guitar, is my 20th guitar. He's the ideal guitar. But I played some guitars that were just so terrible, so bad for my body, and the point where I couldn't even breathe and I couldn't even like move, dude, just because the setups were so poor. Flat fretboards and stringing techniques, pulling the strings in different directions and angles of things, and you're doing all these little tiny movements that just cause imbalances within your body that you can't explain to somebody unless they feel it, and it just is so damaging to the body. So yeah, man, all this time doing that, drawstrings, dude, being tied around my waist, that's the thing, as well as playing soccer with my shoes tied that way. I was tying the same knot around my waist, dude, and it's crazy, man. The stuff that we do to ourselves. We've just been given this body. Dude, yeah. I got given this belt that was like a stretchy belt. And the whole thing was just like this weave to where you didn't have to have a belt hole to put the buckle into. You just put it in any part of it because it was all just like the same material and woven like that. And I wore that thing for so many years within the same time. And not only that, but I was wearing jeans stretchy belt, jeans with some stretch in them, and the other things I was mentioning, playing soccer, dude. Oversized shirts with the dreaded collar seam within them, altering the position of my shoulders. I mean, this is just crazy, man. Shirts with tags only in the left side of them and also just in the rear of them. Shirts in my pants. A lot of times there's shirts not only in the rear of pants, right on your tailbone, which is the base of your spine, right on your pelvis, your hips, but also sometimes it's, well, almost always there's one on the left side inside of pants as well. And then a lot of times they'll put them on the hip flexor, on the front of your hips. And so I'm doing all this stuff, man, and more physical activity and more like unnatural stuff in ways, but also it doesn't have to be unnatural, the things I was doing. But, like flips is something that's people don't do, and a lot of impact on the body. Doing so much of this stuff for years, like a decade at least. And I mean, I'm just putting my body through it because that's the whole point, is like your body can do these things, but if it's within shoes or within clothes that are just altering it, it can't fight it. It can't change it. It can't do its natural thing in those cases, man. So, dude, a big thing is using cell phones. At this time, we've had cell phones for probably around 15 years. And, it's this little device at this time. That's why I say it like that, because it's not going to be that way for very long. I guarantee. Don't believe me, and I could be wrong, but it's not going to be. They're going to change. It's not going to be anything like what we're used to right now, but we've had these little rectangular flat devices with a glass screen, and we just swipe our thumbs all over them, and do just that position of doing this swiping thing with the thumb. The back of the phone is flat. The hands are rounded. And I just doing that for so many years with my nails of my fingers cut too short. Our nails need to be clear to the ends of our fingers to support them. That's what they're for, as well as whatever else they're for. That's their main function. And, they need to be cut flat on the tips, and so that our fingers aren't rolling all over the place. Gosh, dude. And then you can slightly round the corners to soften them, but I mean, I was using phones for years, and that thumb in such a terribly bent position, and that travels straight down to your right foot, to that big toe. Same one that's being so altered because of tying a knot within that shoelace, dude. Jeans with the stitch in the rear that's so imbalanced. Coin pockets only on the right side, dude. All these things, I mean, I was doing this same stuff for years. I just put my body into such a terrible, terrible, terrible position, man. I mean, you can probably feel the conviction within my voice within this. It's crazy, dude. Because this is my company. In the Image Clothing Company that I founded now to help the entire world. It's unreal, dude. It's crazy. So, I've just done a lot of things, dude. And what's so weird about it is a lot of those things really were on me, as in I was doing them and it was quote unquote my fault. But so much of it, and this is the case with all of us, it's not our fault. I didn't know that my shoes needed to be tied even. There's nobody around me doing that ever told me. Except, I mean, I was one of my high school friends, really good man. I remember he told me at one point, in like a casual way, we were like putting our shoes on, coming out of one of our other friends' houses, and he's tying his shoes. He's like, "Do you tie your shoes evenly, dude?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You tie both sides of your feet the same?" I'm like, "No, what are you talking about, dude?" And he's like, "Oh, anyway, I don't know. Someone told me to do that, and it's, tie your shoes even, dude." And that's not the reason I founded In The Image Clothing Company, because I was like 17 years old at that time. And now I founded this company when I was the same age I am now, 25, but I was 24 years old when I started tying my shoes even. So it wasn't him that got me to do it, but once I started to do it, I thought back to that moment. I'm like, man, he started to tie his shoes evenly. And so it's things like that too, where, we dismiss stuff, man. We don't want to listen to people. And I wasn't trying to be dismissive of him, but like, I didn't ask more about it because I could tell how centered his body was and how evenly everything worked. And he just seemed to have natural energy and strength. And, but I didn't know that that's what was the correlation between the way that his body was functioning and tying his shoes even. I didn't know that because I didn't know what to ask. That's what I mean. We don't know what we don't know. Within the gospel, that's what we say. Well, that's what our God tells us. We can't be held accountable for things we don't know. So, keeping your pants up off your hips, dude. I didn't know that. And so through this whole time, as well as everything else, my pants were way too low. So my pelvis, the center of my whole body, couldn't have even had a chance to just be unaltered. It's just so much stuff I did to my body, dude. And a lot of it, yeah, we could have been a little bit more intentional about, but I want to say on this end, because this is how it is, the majority of it, we don't know. We couldn't have done any different. And that's weird. It's crazy. That's why I say, I've been saying this a lot recently within the podcast and just in my life. Like, it's crazy that we're allowed to make our own mistakes and to make our own decisions, because all we're doing is damaging ourselves. The other end is just following the will of our Heavenly Father. And, but He's given us the ability to choose, dude. I'm like, you can feel the conviction in me. I'm sure of it. It's coming through the sound of my voice. Like, I'm shaking. It's crazy to me because it'll never be the same. I'll never have to struggle with the same physical problems in the sense of imbalances within my body as I have up until this point because of what I know now. And just thinking about how my body was like even functioning within being pulled out of alignment from external things, clothing. Dude, I can't even believe that, dude. I'm 25, dude. And it's just nuts. I can't possibly make this out of my own doing something that it isn't, because you'll see, as this company grows, as my personal life as Evan Strong goes on, and my body just, you can see the transformation within it. I can't just kind of make something up. I know that people are potentially skeptical about stuff that we talk about because of how small it is and how uncommonly it's spoken about, but this is what will fix your physical body's pain. Chiropractors will not. Massages will not. Physical therapists will not. Implants will not. Reconstructions to certain parts of your body because of patternings will not. And I can say that with 1000% confidence because I know the truth of these things, and it's not because I'm saying it. I don't have to believe it for it to be the truth. So we live in such a, people like to use that word matrix. There's that movie, The Matrix. We live in that. That is what the world is. That's, when you know the truth of all things, which is the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's the whole point. Our God himself came and overcame the world. That's what we're commanded to do, is just be in the world and not of the world. The world is a matrix. The world is a game. And it's just such an illusion that we need to do things to get our body that was designed to work to do that. It's designed to. It's so crazy that we think that these things are far-fetched and that we don't have the awareness of what we're doing to our bodies. It's so crazy, man. So again, don't believe me, but it's the truth. That's the only reason I'm saying this kind of stuff. And I can't fake the conviction. I can't fake the position of my physical body. You can't stand with good posture if you have bad posture, quote unquote. There's no such thing as posture. It's just when the body's in its naturally designed working order, it stands quite vertical because that uses less energy. That's all that posture is. Even something like that, when you talk about it being a quote unquote matrix, like, yeah, there's no such thing as posture. There's just the body working or it being very, very, very inhibited. And that's not because of something you're doing or need to do within it. It's something external. No matter what. Yeah, sitting in, 90-degree positions at the knees where you're sitting on your hamstrings. I talk about that kind of stuff and certain lifestyle choices, but, we wouldn't do those things if our bodies weren't already inhibited by clothing, because the core has to stay activated. It has to. It's the center of our whole body. It naturally would, is the point. By saying it has to, there's no workouts to do. We never, ever give a single workout within In the Image Clothing Company. The body's designed to work. So it's just unreal that we're allowed to damage ourselves to the extent that we are. It's crazy. Because if we weren't allowed to make our own decisions, then these things couldn't happen. It's so weird, dude. It's so crazy. Yeah, my life will never be the same. I will never, in this physical existence, struggle with the same physical things that I have in the past. Never. It can't happen because I will not be tying my shoes unevenly anymore. And I will not be wearing oversized clothing anymore. And I will not be wearing my pants on my hips anymore. And I will not be tying drawstrings unevenly anymore. And I will be keeping my shoulder seams sitting in the correct locations. Like, plus all the things that we talk about, shoelacing techniques and wearing socks correct, keeping things off the wrists and off the feet. Like, everything that we talk about. It's just crazy, dude. I'm not going to be wearing jeans with, at least without doing every modification that I can within the zipper and within, like I'm saying, coin pockets are huge, dude, because your hip flexors. And I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah, tags. I'll never be having tags within my clothing. Like, this is just crazy stuff, dude. So that's the whole point, is like, I talk about, not being just redeemed once. A lot of people, they like claim to have accepted Christ as their savior and they're done. And that's not how it is. I mean, I get redeemed almost every single day. Sins I make, mistakes that I do, things I've done again, stuff that I realized I did in the past, and, ways of being that I stop doing or start doing that I should have or shouldn't have been doing all along, and that kind of stuff happens just about every single day, because we're just humans, dude. We're just going through this life. So it's just crazy, man. I mean, you don't got to believe me. You don't got to care about my words or like the emotion and conviction you can like tell that I'm feeling within what I'm saying. It'll prove itself to you. Truth is truth. We don't get to determine what truth is, decide it, or change it. It's not up to us, dude. And I get convicted from crazy stuff, dude. I mean, you can see it within me. Like, it's nuts. You see some of those Christian churches, dude, and like, people like shaking and all this stuff, dude. I mean, unless there's certain times people are, a little bit over-exaggerating stuff or faking stuff, but that stuff's real, dude. I mean, I don't need nobody to believe anything, but like, oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. We only get this one body, man, and I've done so much to mine that has damaged it, but like I'm saying, I can't even be held accountable for it. I'm still repenting for it, and I'm still changing from it. That's the biggest thing. I mean, that's the obvious part about it, is like, you realize something's damaging you, stop doing it. But even though the things that I had done before I knew aren't like something I could have done anything about, I still am apologizing, I mean, I still feel so bad because it's just this one, that's all I'm given here. And so, I mean, there's been so much stuff that's happened to it, and it's crazy how reversible all this stuff is. It's really nuts, dude. I mean, like, it's crazy. So I just wanted to be sure and kind of like touch on a few things that I've done, like majorly to damage my body, because I did. So, yeah. Well, I talked about it, one of the episodes of the podcast was titled Imbalances from Driving, and driving a manual transmission car, with a clutch where you're shifting with your left foot and, right hand and stuff, I mean, that's huge too. And just, wearing oversized clothing is something that's just not everybody does, some people go their whole life rarely ever wearing clothing that's oversized, but in modern 2025, in the past few years, it's been such a common thing, and I did it for a long time. So it just doesn't let your body do anything normally, naturally at all. So, dude, I mean, like, you can see I'm shaking. You can probably hear it. If you're just listening to this episode in audio form, you can probably just hear like me shaking, like the conviction, dude. A big part of it is just going forward, that kind of conviction, like knowing this is the rest of my life. I will never have to struggle with these things physically again. Never. It couldn't happen. I mean, just because having that much of a deeply ingrained pattern from any and everything that has caused it within clothing, once you release things and allow the insertion of the muscles to be normal again, and the scar tissue of the muscle adhering to the bones in the ways that it does, like, it's released at that point. Like, I mean, I've had 2+ decades of deeply ingrained patternings from the same things that they don't have to ever be that way again, and it's crazy, dude. It's really crazy. So yeah, it's such a gift, man. I mean, it's nuts, dude. I was sitting here playing guitar, man, and yeah, everybody on the whole globe that ever comes in contact with In The Image Clothing Company. That's why I'm so clear to say what I do about saying that we discuss universal truth. Like, I'm not trying to prove that to someone, but that's why I say it, is because, like, opinions you can prove, but truth, like, don't believe us. Don't believe me. Don't believe my, like, conviction in this. Don't think that, like, I'm trying to make this something or trying to, like, make an image or a scene and, like, put on a show about something. Like, that's what I mean. Don't believe me. Like, if you think that I'm just entirely faking this, great. But you're damaging yourself if you're not believing the stuff that we talk about. And again, I don't like the word believe because it's just truth, dude. It just manifests itself to you. I just can't fake this kind of stuff, dude. And it's just unreal to be able to be in this position. I don't know how, like, just, yeah, it's crazy. It's really weird, dude. I mean, I remember, like, laying in bed at nights, and not being able to sleep because I was so physically uncomfortable. A lot of that's tags, a lot of it's drawstrings, but a lot of it's your shoes throughout the day that you're not even wearing while you're trying to sleep because of the position it's, ingrained within your body. Like, it's stuff like that. It's not just in the moment things, it's stuff that lasts. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I haven't even played soccer for, like, years as far as, like, any amount that would really, cause something like that. But that kind of stuff could stick with me till I was dead if I didn't release the patterns, like within the feet, and how that, the big toe just wasn't tracking straight because, doing all those movements for so many years with it being pulled out of its natural position, like, that could have been the rest of my life if I didn't address it. And if I didn't know why or how to, then it would have. And that's the case for everybody who will continue to tie their shoes unevenly for the rest of their life. And that's why it's just nuts, dude. I mean, you can't know the extent of, like, ease of physical existence until you do these things, because a lot of people think it's just a norm to have to stretch and to have to warm up before things and to have to, like, massage their body often and, like, put ice on them and heat, and, like, that's not a normal thing, dude. The body's designed to work. I mean, in very, 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 very specific cases, if you have a physical, like, deformity or something, but that's, like, obviously your own situation. But the body just works, dude. It just does. I mean, I've been through 2 major open heart surgeries, man, plus other things, and I only mention those things just for the sake of being able to relate and, like, know that I'm not just some kid that just, I don't know, dude. I mean, it's just crazy, man. Like, it's nuts. I mean, yeah, 2 full open heart surgeries, dude. That bone in the front of your rib cage from, like, the base of your neck here down to the, like, where your abs are, down to your core, that whole bone of mine has been entirely cut in half and opened enough to where they can get tools in there and work on my heart. That's happened twice to me. And that's nothing compared to tying my shoes unevenly, bro. That's how real this is. That's why it's so crazy. And that's why I keep saying, like, this is, like, a company that's been given to me specifically, because there's not many people that can have, like, the personal experience to explain that I do. So it's just crazy, bro. It's so crazy, dude. It's just unreal. I mean, the stuff that we're doing to ourselves, man. I mean, that's really our biggest enemy in this life, is ourselves, It's crazy. It's so crazy, dude. We don't even know either. It's not like we're doing it on purpose. It's nuts, man. Crazy, dude. Dude, I mean, yeah, just those sleepless nights, bro. I'm not, like, complaining about sleepless nights. I'm just saying it's crazy that I'm given the opportunity to know how to help people, man. I know what it's like to lay there and your body is so physically uncomfortable and you don't know what to do about it. tie your shoes even, bro. Take the tags out of your clothes. Like, stuff people are gonna laugh at always. There's always gonna be people that are gonna laugh at this kind of stuff. And it's the fix. You don't have to believe me, please don't. It's just the truth, man. It's crazy. Do it for yourself. Gosh. It's so crazy. The reason I know that is because people have already, and it's on them, bro. And I get it. I mean, who's gonna tell you to tie your shoes even? And if you don't know what they're talking about, why would you ever listen to something like that? You can laugh all you want. It's your choice. But there's been people in my life, bro, and I've been saying this stuff for just about a year. And since then, I've been watching them like massage their body out and do this stuff that they wouldn't have to do if they would just tie their shoes evenly. Oh gosh. They just sit there and complain about their physical pain, but the reason it's there is because of these things. Cause, yeah, bro. I mean, it's just nuts. What I was saying about like the ease of physical workings that our bodies actually have when they're just not altered is crazy. It's something you can't know until you do, man. And so what I'm saying is like, a lot of people are really misled thinking that, they're like almost too far gone. Like, well, if I was a young kid like you, I could tie my shoes even, I could be hiking mountains. Like, no, you do it now. 'Cause that's the point, is it doesn't matter what age you started at or what age you don't, or what, or how long you've been doing anything, or it's just that the body only works the way that it does. That's what I say. It's not because I say it. Don't believe me. Go get a bachelor's degree in anatomy of the human body and then come listen to what I'm saying. And what I'm saying still is just as true. Like, that's the thing. I mean, you get somebody who's gone to, at least like in the United States of America, a lot of times our schooling for like doctor type stuff is 8 years. Go get somebody who's gone to school for like to be a physical therapist or an orthopedic person, which just means bone doctor, or a chiropractor or a massage therapist or whatever, and have them see what I'm talking about. And that's what I mean by don't believe me. It's just that we don't have to have the approach of rehab. We have to just let the body work. Because all those doctors are doing is finding out how to fix problems, but not by the root cause, but they just, because they're not fixing it. That's why I say I don't care what your podiatrist says about your feet and your, like, I don't care. I don't care in the slightest, because it's not true. All they're doing is addressing the repercussions, but not what's going to stop those repercussions. So the second they do whatever they do and you go out of their clinic, you're going to get back into the same problem. And that will happen again and again. So that's why people continually go to chiropractors. You shouldn't need to, ever. Unless something's dislocated maybe, or you had an injury. There's no need. It's not my opinion. Don't believe me. There's no need. It's just crazy, dude. It's crazy. Because I went, that's another thing. Yeah, I mean, I talked about the flips I did, and, I went to physical therapy for months for my shoulders, because I had what they call shoulder impingement. They call it, I think they call it like subacromial shoulder impingement, All it is that your shoulders are in the wrong position. And that's because of directly your shoulder seams sitting in an incorrect location or oversized so that your shoulders are just being pulled down. That's directly, but it's also because of your feet. If your feet are rotated, they come up, rotate your hips, and then rotate your spine and rotate your shoulders. And now your shoulders that only track in line aren't, because of one rope on one of your feet, in the case of just tying them unevenly. But then the lacing, that affects your feet too, because you lace your shoes so that your arches that support your feet, supporting your hips, activating your core, just allowing it to be, and traveling up to your shoulders, those arches are now altered, and so your ankles track differently, your feet muscles work differently, and your bones positions of your feet are in a different position, traveling to your knees, traveling to your hips, traveling through your spine to your shoulders, and that's affecting your shoulders from the lacing technique. I don't know how deep I'm going to get into like each little thing like this, but that's what I'm saying is no matter how much physical therapy you go to for your shoulders, if you don't address your shoelaces, you can have some relief from those shoulder pain for a day or a week, and then it will come back no matter what. I also went for my knees. They called it the patella is your kneecap. They call it like patellofemoral pain or something. Chondromalacia patella. Those are like the same thing that they label differently. You know, and also runner's knee, because they told me I had to get perforations in my IT bands, which is that big band of material on the outside of your legs, outside of your femurs, that connects your hips to your knees. An orthopedic surgeon, I went to an orthopedic surgeon, and he told me that I had to get those perforations put into my IT bands to elongate them to have my knees track better. But our bodies were designed by our God to work. And so something that just comes up I was right around 18 years old. At 18 years after being on this earth, no, there's a reason. It's not that I have shortened IT bands. I don't know the full name for that. But IT is what they shorten it. You know, it's the abbreviation. But yeah, no. It's just, I mean, again, that's why, the reason I'm saying that within this episode, like all this kind of like background story, I guess there's no reason not to, but the reason I'm saying it is because those things wouldn't have helped me. If I would have gotten surgery, it would have damaged my body. Those IT bands are meant to hold, I mean, I think they have like 1,000+ pound tensile strength, right? I'm pretty sure it's like that high, even though our bodies, you know, most all of us, I don't know, you know, pretty much all of us are going to be under that weight, but they can support that much weight. Like when I used to do parkour and I'd jump off rooftops, like 10 feet to the ground, you know, and stuff like that. Like they can support a ton of weight. They're designed to be the way that they are. They don't need perforations in them, but the knee needs to track straight. And the knee is going to track straight from either the hips or the feet. It's not the knee's problem. So that's the thing is, like I mentioned, that stretchy belt and my pants in an incorrect position, tags around my hips, and the shoes that I was wearing, that's what was causing my knee pain. And then also the shoulders were causing my knee pain. That's the truth. Don't believe me, but my body now works. And at those times, I couldn't even sit down into a chair without like really, really lowering myself with my hands because of the pain within my knees. But at the same time, because it was the same time I was going for both my shoulders and my knees to physical therapy, my shoulders also were in pain. And so lowering myself with my hands to relieve my knees hurt my shoulders in the time. So it was like this crazy whole paradox thing. So that's why I say, like, I've been given this company. I'm putting quotes with my hands, air quotes, but I don't mean to put the quotes as if like that's not the truth of what it is. It's just that I just want to leave myself out of everything as much as I can, because it's not about whether I'm saying something or not. Don't believe me, but it's just truth. So yeah, everything that has been relieved within my body has come from In the Image Clothing Company. Nothing else. I haven't been to a single chiropractor in, well, at least like 2 years. I don't know. And I mean, I founded this company much less. I mean, it's been like 6 months just about since we've had this company. It was like August when I started to make videos, and then September 23rd, 2024 is when our actual like official launch of In the Image Clothing Company was. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you will never get relief within your body from a chiropractor if you continue to do things that are imbalanced. The body has a center line. There's no, I like to say, like, no opinion, no belief, no yoga class, because some people literally think that that's a belief, that the body has a center line, but it's our spine. There's no question to that. And Earth just pulls us straight down because of gravity. So anything that's imbalanced will just cause pain. And that includes amputations and stuff as well. And I talk about that. It's not something to be like, it's not like you're damned to have pain because you have like an amputated arm. But the point is, we got to do all that we can to keep our bodies centered still. So getting a prosthetic arm that weighs the same as your other side, so that even just weight-wise, you're balanced. Otherwise, you'll have knee pain because you have an amputated arm, right? Or hip pain. It's nowhere near your arm. That's what I'm talking about. That's just the truth of the body. It works as a whole only. So, and also, not only could you have pain in any other area of your body that's nowhere near that arm that's cut off, but your feet rotations will change just to compensate, because gravity's still going to pull you straight down, but now your center weight-wise has changed. And so you just have to stay over the center of your weight. Like if you're balancing on something, right? You have to keep everything right over what you're balancing on. But if there's less weight on one side because your arm just got, whatever happened to it, and you don't have an arm on one side, you have to do everything that you can to get the same weight on each side of the body. Like, it's just how it is, dude. Don't believe me, bro, but stop going to the chiropractor. Stop sitting there in your chair with ice on and laying on heat packs and massaging your feet every day within boots with heels on them, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean by it's crazy that we're allowed to make our own decisions, because we're doing all these things that are just damaging us, and then we're like looking for an external fix when it's just something we have caused, and also we can fix by just stopping it, allowing the body to work. That's all we ever say. That's the truth. That's it. It's unreal. Like, it's crazy on both ends that we can have the ability to do these things to us. Like, we're given that, but then also that we have the ability within our own selves to just do everything to fix the problem. Like, I don't even understand. This life's crazy, dude. It's crazy. It's so weird. I mean, people think they need to get a certain amount of exercise every day. That is false. We just need to allow our bodies to just work every day. As in, not do work, but just allow them to operate. Dude, I mean, it's crazy. When I start talking like this and I sound like I'm about to, start a rap battle, it's just the passion, dude, behind the truth of this stuff. Like, so anyway, it's crazy, dude. I'm titling this, I want this to be something that people can really, really come back to whenever anybody has any kind of question, because I filled this with a lot of good information. There's no opinion. There's ideally no opinion that anything I ever say comes through in the Image Clothing Company. I mean, even in my own life, it's not just about because I run a company but I pray for that. I'm like, Father, please, I don't want to have any opinions of my own in this life, because all there is you, the truth of all things, our God himself, Jesus the Christ. So it's not just about because I'm running a company, but that's just how, there's a little bit just of context for Evan Strong, me as the founder, but me as a person is what I'm saying. In my life, I also I don't want opinions in anything, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, we just get caught up in our own opinions and stuff. So, what I'm saying though is this episode's going to be awesome. Like I said, this is titled Things I Have Done. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Episode 32 of the Image Clothing Company podcast. So I actually mentioned at the beginning, but yeah, we have our company as a whole. Check out the other sides if you'd like. We will have clothing available made out of 100% natural materials, staying centered, fitting correct, allowing the body to work. If you ever purchase it, though, please just do all you can to get it in your size. Oversized clothing is just so damaging. Don't believe me. Okay, like I said, it's the 8th of January, 2024. 5. This is going to be huge. I'm going to keep saying that, not to try to like, if I keep saying it, it might happen. No, In The Image Clothing Company is going to be huge. I've been told that through revelation. Let me be a little bit specific so you know. Because all we're doing is giving truth. And we're going to mess up as we do it. Sinful by nature, human beings. But, you know, if this whole company was just giving the only information being the 2 prerequisites, even if we didn't say where clothing needed to sit, but then if we just add that on top of that, you know, just those things alone change everybody's life on the planet if they came in contact with In The Image Clothing Company. But we also, you know, I mean, we get so small with the things that are huge. You know, the dreaded collar seam, things within zippers. Man, I mean, it gets so small, dude. You know, just the tail ends of shirts that have a little bit of like grip to the stitch of the inside that's just like essentially connecting your shoulders to your hips in a way that wouldn't happen like from the outsides. Like you get so tiny and stuff that you can't know anywhere else. Not that nobody else could know this information or give it to you, but the point is, whether you could or couldn't, we want to give the information. So it's just nuts, dude. So shout out to Frank the guitar. I say that so much, dude. I've been saying that, you know, since I've had him. Like, he's just, it's just crazy. So, yeah, I mean, I don't talk about, and we as a company won't talk about so much technology, you know, just because it's going to change. I mean, you could have talked about cell phones back in 2013 when they were like little, you know, like little ones that could actually pretty well fit in your hand. And just you could have said, you know, what you thought or wanted to teach people about them, but that information wouldn't quite be relatable nowadays when they're like, you know, close to twice the size or possibly even bigger than twice the size that they were then. And so now the way to approach them to allow your body to work, the information or the, you know, understandings you'd give would be entirely different, relating modern sized cell phones to those ones. Like, that's what I mean. So we're not going to talk about that stuff all that much, but within this episode, for the sake of things I have done, yeah, I mean, I spent 6, 8 plus hours a day sitting there on a cell phone. And, you know, what that does to your neck and what that does to the cartilage within the gaps of, you know, your ears, it changes, and what it does with the way that your teeth mesh and your jaw's position and, you know, your eyes and the skin on your face. And dude, I mean, it's that real. Again, don't believe me, but that's what this is. That's what In The Image Clothing Company actually is. We're not a clothing company. We're a company about the human body, addressing it through mostly clothing. That's how it's always going to be, dude. That's how it was founded as, by me. I mean, I'm the one saying this. Like, yeah, that's crazy, dude. So, yeah, I mean, it gets nuts, dude. It gets crazy. So, I mean, so many years, too. I mean, just having fingernails that just basically didn't exist. And so everything I was doing, even if I was doing it in what would be considered as the ideal position, like, my hands weren't allowed to work because the fingernails weren't supporting them. So same thing with, you know, physical therapy for my shoulder health. Well, and what I say as well with anybody else's experience with that too. Physical therapy, chiropractics, whatever. You do all that, but then you don't just allow your own fingernails to grow to support your fingers. You will have shoulder pain, period. So it's just, you know, stuff like that. So anyway, yeah,